All right, well, welcome. We're going to get into our Module 5 today, and this is about the document object model. And the document object model is pretty significant because it can contain, it's how you nest your elements on the screen. And when I mean elements, I'm talking about any HTML entity, a tag, a heading, a table, anything on the page can be an element. And the document object model is how those elements are organized and nested inside of each other. And you can view it. You can view it by going to, here, more tools, developer tools, and you can actually look through the DOM of any web page that you're looking at, specifically the elements. So I went to view developer tools, and I can look at the script, all of the scripts of the Canvas web page. I love embedding JavaScript into Canvas, but sometimes they've got some controls. They won't let me do much. But you got essentially this thing that we call the document object model. And that is all the HTML that your JavaScript is going to be working with. And when you go to inspect elements from this area, you can view that document object model. So I'm going to go to elements here, and you see here that we have, every time that we highlight over a specific part, it will kind of glow over here. And this one isn't a very good page, but there's the full element, and you can highlight over there, and your elements will kind of highlight on the other side. But this is a horrible example. And you can actually look at your DOM too through this editor, and we will get more into that as we get to our playtime today. Let's go ahead and talk about the PowerPoint real quick. The PowerPoint's a little bit overbearing with code, so we're gonna move a little fast. I don't want to get you too caught up. So when we think about an application and HTML, you can think about the HTML as what contains, or is that what is the contains the app. It's really HTML contains the data for the app, and essentially that is what you have to traverse to get to the data or to be able to modify it. Is traverse that document object model. It's like a tree. It's like, you think about it as an inverted tree with the stump going to the air, and all the branches coming out, and every element is a leaf. And that's how complicated the document object model can be, because you can have tables within tables and elements within elements. And so it's a challenge to work through that and be able to create nodes and append them, restructuring your web document by adding and removing nodes and stuff like that. You have to have a kind of an understanding of the document object model itself. And once you have an understanding of what it is, then you can start understanding how to work with the tools that manipulate it. Okay, so we are going to get down into this part right here. This is kind of what I was talking about with a node tree. So you see here this example that they have of how your document object model can be. This is a node tree, and it starts with your HTML, and what's inside of your HTML is your body, and what's inside of your head is your title. And in your body, you can have headings. You can have multiple headings. You can have tables, and then you can have tables inside of tables, or ordered lists, or unordered lists, or lists within inside of lists. So it really gets messy. A web page can get messy, and you have to have a way to traverse the node trees of your elements inside your document object model. Basically, when I say your node trees, I'm talking about your HTML tags and how they're nested, how they're organized and put together. You can work with nodes in JavaScript. We have the ability to work with nodes and root nodes and all kinds of things with this code for walking the document object model. And here are some of the different things that you can do with a node. So a node is essentially just one of these items. That's a node. You know, this is a node. And every node has a parent. And, well, not every node has, well, yeah, every node has to have a parent. Except for your starting node, of course, which is your document, which is your DOM. That is your main parent. And then you have your HTML element, which then breaks up and trees out into a head that trees out into a title that is the actual title. And so there is the first part of your DOM is that HTML, and then you have your head, and you see right here we have your body. So this is a very simplistic example of the node tree, but and that kind of gives you an idea of like here with the body and the end of the body. Well, with inside of here, a child is this header slide image H1. Every parent can also be a child. So you can go back and forth on that node depending on where you're at and what node you're visiting or looking at, essentially, as you go through your nodes. Okay, so you can use array notation for child nodes when you have multiple nodes that are on the same on the same hierarchy, like H1 and P here for body. And do we have some examples to start talking about here? This one right here is actually where we actually start getting the nodes from the document object model, because your CSS and your HTML are both on the document object model, so you can grab a hold of both. So a node list is not like an HTML collection. Think of it more of a tree. And the different nodes that you can have in your tree don't necessarily have to be the same. So you can have a heading node, you can have an image node, you can have a table node, and so forth. Okay, so creating and connecting nodes. Here is an example of working with a node, and this is an actual example of creating it. So what you can do is you can literally do document.write and output your HTML tags, or you can work directly within a node, which makes it sometimes easier to work with appending like a child to a node that's deeply buried. And that's why the node tree is important, is for you to get, because it'll help you be able to traverse the document object model to get to a specific tag or element that you need to work with or modify. So here's an example of grabbing an element and then, creating an element, a heading element, and then actually adding it dynamically to the document object model, which is just a simple heading. You can create your nodes. You can create nodes dynamically and add them. You can use .write to directly put them in with print statements, but this is a better way for management. Okay, so we've got things like querySelector all. querySelector all method will be able to give you all nodes. And let's see, I'm thinking it's getting to be about, nope, we're good. Embed child, remove child, replace child, those are all working with nodes. We're going to get into the code here soon. Here we go. Here's some interesting, but these ones look like it's all about creating the elements. It hasn't actually added it yet. So this is just a create the lightbox elements. I don't want to get into this because I would rather do it in context with our assignments for what we're working with. This is something you're going to work through on the chapter on your own. But let's go ahead and start having some fun and solve some problems here. And I think we can actually view the DOM. Let me make sure. Chrome view document object model of web page. Okay, so I remember actually being able to view the node within Chrome, which was pretty cool. I think it starts with the inspect, which I showed you earlier, and you can navigate your DOM tree with your keyboard in this manner. So here's kind of what's cool about it is it should never like be a surprise to you what's in your DOM, because you can always just look at it through your browser and inspect your nodes. So we can select a specific node, such as Michelangelo, and I believe we can right click on it and we should be able to hit inspect, and it brings us right into the elements tree with all our document object model. Look at that. That is so cool. Look, I can go to every node or leaf in your tree, and I can highlight it and it shows it on the other side. Isn't that cool? Okay, so that's actually really necessary because this can turn out to be an absolute drastic mess. So what I'll do is when I'm trying to design things that look well, I'll just put boxes around everything. So I know where the element starts and stops when it's rendered on the screen. And then I can start changing like the CSS or the HTML to make it look the way I want. And I often find myself sometimes going through here and finding an element and highlighting it just so I can see what space it takes up on the screen. So this is the class element, and we see that this is the main element of the whole page mostly, because when we highlight over it, it highlights the whole page. So most of this page is inside of this main root node. And it has a child that, it looks like it's got some other stuff inside of it too. But you see it's got another main thing inside of its root node. Oh my God, it's just a nightmare. Look at that. And then all these are inside of that one. And so forth and so forth. It just, okay. So you know how to view the document object model. And that was my main goal for today. What I want to, other than getting in and having fun with some code. So let's actually, I'm going to go ahead and get CS250 up and going. You've seen me done that enough times to where I think we're good. I'm going to pause, and of course we're going to come back when it's time. I'm going to come back when it's time to start coding. Okay. We're back. I've got the project loaded from the source code that was given to us, and we're going to go ahead and use this to complete our assignment. It looks like it has some code already built for us, and let's get rid of this. It looks like they left us space, but that drives me insane. So it looks like we're gonna be adding here and blah, get rid of that, blah. Okay, get rid of that. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start probably here. It looks like from the instructions. So let's go ahead and look at the instructions, and I'm gonna try not to cheat until later, hopefully. Okay, so looks like we got to. Looks like we got to include our script. So let's do that. That's our normal. Let's make sure that's done because that tends to be usually the issue. And you guys all know by now this must go in the body, at the end of the body. No matter what, you just do it to move up into the body. That's where it's supposed to be. Okay, so we'll do a script here, and don't I have to do something special? Script something or another. Okay, looks like I'm gonna be. Well, yeah, hey, you always forget this stuff, I always like to include script JavaScript. Including JavaScript in your page. Oh, it's already highlighted. I've already looked at it. The script source. Yeah, I knew it was script source. Okay, whatever. Okay, and back to our code. Get that in so that we're loading up our JavaScript for our page, and we're gonna call it. And you know me, I'm gonna make sure that I don't type this in. If I can copy it, I'm gonna copy it. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so let's go back to our HTML and finish up. Did they already do it for me? Was I looking at the wrong HTML? Oh, that's the wrong file. I've got files open from other projects here. It looks like I better cancel. Let's save that. Okay, and start page, go away. Okay, there's our HTML. Okay, I'm just going to throw what I copied into here just so I don't mistype it. It looks like it didn't copy. It looks like I'm going to have to type it. Okay, that's fine. Hopefully I don't mistype it. But it's really easy because you can just go in the debugger and look if your script showed up. So, you can always verify. In fact, we'll do that. We'll verify it. So project 05 dash 01 underscore text dot JS. Okay, so to verify this, I'm going to go ahead and run it. I'm going to verify that my script is actually showing up, that I've typed it in correctly, and here's the other thing, that it's actually in the directory that I'm working in. That's also necessary. So I'm just going to hit play, and then I've got to rename my index to the index that I actually am using now because I deleted that one as my starting index. So let's do project 05 dash 01 underscore text dot HTML. Okay, so hopefully it opened up in Chrome. Let's look at Chrome. I don't think it worked. Let's go back. Play. There it is. Okay. So we need to verify that our source is loading up. So let's go ahead and go over here to Developer Tools. And what we're going to do is we're going to just see if we go to the sources, it shows up in our elements, and we probably should be able to click on this and bring it up. Maybe not. But if we go to our sources here, we should be able to see it here. Because if it did not include correctly, if you misspelled it or something, it would not show up here. So the HTML is what includes the JS. So when it reads the HTML, we know it's working because we're opening the HTML file. We need to know that the HTML is properly loading the JS, and sure enough, we are. So we're good. We're in business to go. I'm going to leave this like this because what we're going to do is we're going to actually debug in here today. I've really gotten an aversion to NetBeans connector lately because a lot of the things it just is a pain in the butt to use often, and it's actually better just to debug in Chrome. It just literally is. And you can actually even write your code and save it in Chrome too if you want to. You can edit it right here. So you can actually use all Chrome and nothing else. You can use Chrome to build all your JavaScript that you need. This is a perfectly fine editor for you, and it's even got a debugger. So it's kind of funny. You got all these different JavaScript programming software development kits when your browser will do it, but it's not as easy. It's not really built for it. So it's not as well put together. Okay, so we're 25 minutes in, and it looks like Alexa is being a stinker behind me, so ignore her. I finally got a better name for her than computer, so she doesn't pop up all the time I'm talking. Only every now and then. Okay, so let's go into our instructions that we're going to follow. We've included, looks like we did number 2. So we got to go and declare a time ID variable, and it doesn't look like we're going to set an initial value, which is stupid. Okay, that's fine. We'll do. I mean, that's something. Here's the thing: is in JavaScript, basically it's built to work so you can write crappy code. And sometimes it just annoys the heck out of me. So we need something like that, and it looks like they've helpfully added some comments for us here. So what we're going to do is we can do a let var, but we can just do a var time ID. That should do it. And it's just driving me nuts. I'm gonna if I don't care. It's wrong. So declare the question list variable. So we're gonna use the querySelectAll for the question list, and then we're gonna append something to it, and then I'm gonna let you loose. We got to do the add event and stuff like that. So we're gonna get through some more. So we're gonna build the question list variable. Oh, I wish I could double click on it to select it. Looks like I got to do that. I'll type it in. Type it in is dangerous. Hopefully I did it right. Question list, all caps. Let's go back. Question list, one cap list. Okay, not all caps. Yeah. Okay. And then we need to use the div quiz input as the CSS selector. So we're going to do a querySelectAll method. And we're going to do that by putting in the CSS selector of the div quiz input. Okay. So we're going to actually assign that question list equal to the selector, the node selector for our DOM. And we're going to grab the whole DOM of the question of the div quiz input. So we're going to actually assign that to the querySelectAll method, and then I'm going to look up what we put in as the input for that actual function when we run it. Okay, so we're going to say is equal to querySelectAll, and I'm getting a little bit because I've forgotten I'm writing code in Python there for a little bit. Oh, I hate Python. Okay, querySelectAll, and let's see, I spelled that correctly. querySelectAll. Did you selector-all? Selector-all. querySelectAll. querySelectAll method. Okay, so now then let's look at how this works. Let's look at how the querySelectAll method, because here's what you do when you're programming. And again, I can't refer to this more. Do not write all your code and expect it to work. Get your memory, print your memory, or view it in the debugger, one or the other, so that you know that when I say your memory, right now I'm talking about question lists. Question lists we're going to be using. And so that means that we have to have it in our hands. So verify that you actually have it before you move on. And that you can do through the debugger or through a document.write, if anything. And just see that question list has values in it. when you use the querySelectAll method. So let's go ahead and do the querySelectAll method, select all search. Oh, still got that on. I don't want that. Here's the querySelectAll, and then we send it in the selectors. So the selectors should be a string. Yep, selector string. And you will put in the specific things that you want to put, or the specific nodes you want to grab out of your document object model or your web page. So you can grab all the nodes for a list item. That's this guy right here. And that's actually really cool because you don't have to traverse your whole document object model to get what you need. Because if you had to do that, that would be a silly nightmare. So this is this is a tool we can use to grab what we want out of the web page so that we can modify it for dynamic behavior. So I'm going to go in here, and it looks like from our instructions that, and of course this is a string, it looks like from our instructions that it's going to be, let's see, vital source. Right here, it looks like our selector is going to be quiz input, and they even put helpful quotes around that. So it looks like my selecting of text today is not doing too well. Oh, there, finally got it to work. Sometimes this silly vital source just sucks. Okay, so let's put that in. Oh, see, didn't even copy it. Didn't even copy it. Horrible. I guess I'm gonna have to type it. Okay, let's do that. Div quiz space input. Okay. So if you look at your CSS, Okay, so we look at the CSS, and we're gonna grab anything that has a div. And a div with it looks like, see this here, div quiz table, div quiz input. There it is. So that's what you want to copy paste if you don't want to type it in wrong. So we're going to grab every element of the quiz input type, and this is just CSS to tell how the input type is rendered on the screen. That's all it is. That's what CSS is, just how do you draw it. I think that's what the book is asking. I think we're good. Yep, there we go. Okay, quiz input. All right, so let's go ahead and go over here to the JavaScript and put that in. And now we're at the place, and you see I put it in exactly as it is in the CSS. Because we know that that is what works and what was built for the page. And now what I want to do is I want to actually make sure that line 18 is actually running correctly. So I'm going to just put a dummy line in here, var x equals 0, because you need runtime to stop on your breakpoint, and I want to be able to stop the breakpoint here and then do a step over, and it'll just stop at this line and allow me to look at question lists instead of like finishing the whole program. And then I'll just delete this when I'm done. So there's no reason for line 19 other than to help me with working with the debugger, so that I don't go too far when I want to examine what's going on line 18. So I'm going to stop it on line 18, do a step over, and I'm going to verify that question list has my selected elements inside of it, my nodes that I want for my document object model tree, or basically all my HTML tags that are inside of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and do this I'm going to do a save here. Then I'm going to go back to the browser, and I'm going to do a refresh of the page. So here's the page, and when I do a refresh, I'm going to see a problem. And you see kind of where I was getting with where you can have your errors, because evidently I forgot something about querySelector all. So that's going to be an error And let's look at some examples, but let's see what the error actually, what error we have. And to that we can look at the console, and we can look at it. It looks like, I wonder why it's not liking me there. Uncaught reference is not defined. Okay, that means that I'm not getting the library for the DOM, or I'm not using it correctly. So let's go ahead and go back to some examples and use that. So let's look at the query select all. See, that's what I was missing. Yeah, you got it. Well, duh. I mean, you gotta tell it what you're selecting. So what you got to do is you got to use the query selector to get to go from there. So it looks like maybe not. This may be a time query select all document. You know what? I'll tell you what. It's just, it drives me, something so stupid simple like that. I always forget this stuff, and you know, because literally, you know, we're literally working with three or and you know what? I can't stand when people use the word literally. We're working with 4 different technologies here: CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and Chrome, and NetBeans, and 5 different. Yeah, so I forget this stuff. I should have put document in front of that because the document variable itself represents your DOM. The document is your DOM. That's an object that represents your DOM. So when you do the query selector all on the document, that is your DOM, document variable itself, and it's actually a global variable. It's always available to you that you can use, and you can actually type it in, and some IntelliSense should pop up on this for us. I'm hoping it does. We can do document dot. See, there it is. Okay, query selector all. See, this is where I would go Q, and then I would do query selector all. And then I would know that I spelled it correctly and whatnot. But I think we're good there. Okay, let's do a save all. So remember, get your memory, have your memory, print your memory. Then you can play with your memory, but not until then. So eat your dinner before your cookies. Okay, so let's get into verifying that we have our memory. Looks like we don't have any red lists. So let's go ahead and set a breakpoint here. I just put my mouse here and left clicked, and I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh. And it stopped us there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a step over, and I'm going to verify that that memory is there. Okay, now I'm going to hover over question list. Oh my goodness, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Okay, and look at where they're situated in the CSS, because you can highlight over them and see them. Okay, so we have them now in memory. So what we can do is we can start following out, completing the instructions from the book, and that's how things start. Get your memory, print your memory, or view it in the debugger. Because other languages, I would just literally go in here and do a document.write, and I would put question list inside. We don't need that. Get rid of that, and then we'll get maybe something really ugly. Oh, I gotta hit stop. Okay, whatever. Okay, reload. There we go. Reload. Oh no. Continue right there. Okay. Reload. Yeah. Okay. It looks like the CSS is just basically getting rid of the document.write. Oh. I didn't save it. See, it didn't show up. My document.write is not there. Yeah. So nice thing. Remember, after you make a change in your editor, save it. Oh, I must have hit Control Z. And then let's go back here, and I don't know if it's even going to show up. It might not. Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. You can see the tail end of it down here, but it's printing out behind this element. Okay, so that's one reason why I just use the debugger. Oh, you see, I can do that, and then I can hit Control S to save it. As long as it's not opened up in NetBeans over there, it will save it. And you can totally edit in here. I think it's Control S, I'm not sure. It might be another one. Okay, so, but it's not very good for editing. So you just got to remember that when you do a change, you change it here. You don't want it open. You don't want if you're editing in Chrome, you cannot have it open in another program. Only one process has rights to it at a time. The other one would open it up as read-only and won't allow you to overwrite any changes. So you can read it, but it can't write to it because this process says write access because it had it open first. And I'm talking about, when I say it, I'm talking about your JavaScript JS file and editing it in Chrome versus NetBeans. Okay, that's gonna get you started. All right, bye.